وما خلقت الجن والإنس إلا ليعبدون.
قاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. So we want to talk about the topic which is who is Allah. So this might sound like a question that is very basic, but the reality is that if a lot of Muslims are packed together and asked that, define to us who is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How does he relate with people? How does he deal with people who do this? If you do this, if you do that, how does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala relate with people? What are the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What concise way can you define the being that you worship? You would find out that a lot of people can actually not define this. And for a Muslim, it is very necessary that they understand who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is and that they know more about him. Because the more you know about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, about how he deals with people, about how he deals with those who came before us, those who believed among them and those who didn't believe, it would aid you in knowing how much you have to get close to him and how much you need to run away from his anger. Now, if we want to answer this question of who is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a way that is going to be beneficial for Muslims only, then this is quite easy. If we want to answer it from the perspective of a Christian, if a Christian is asking us that who is Allah, there is a different way to answer that. And if an atheist, for example, asks us that who is Allah, there is another different way of answering such a question. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this is one of the miracles of the Quran, he gathered all answers that is going to be beneficial for a Muslim, for a Christian, and for an atheist together in one single chapter of the Quran. And it's not a chapter that extends over 15 pages or 5 pages or 10 pages. It's just 4 verses of the Quran that explains in very good detail who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, in such a way that it answers a lot of the questions of the Christians, a lot of the questions of the Muslims, a lot of the questions of the mushrikun, and at the same time, a lot of the questions of the atheists. So, but this is only for people who have knowledge, deep knowledge about the deen. So, this same question of who is Allah was asked. The Prophet ﷺ was asked this question by the people of Quraysh. They went to the Prophet ﷺ. They said that, "O Muhammad, we know you and we know your father and we know the one who gave birth to your father. We know where you came from. And you know us. You know our fathers. You know our grandfathers. You know where we came from. Ya Muhammad, unsub lana rabbak. Tell us where your Lord came from. Tell us the lineage of your Lord." So when they went to the Prophet ﷺ asking him to define to them who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then revealed the surah that the Prophet ﷺ says, "Ta'adilu thuluth al-Quran," said it is equivalent in weight or in meaning to a third of the Quran, and that is Suratul Ikhlas. Suratul Ikhlas. It is the same surah that one of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, they went to report him to the Prophet ﷺ that he was always reciting the surah on every salah that he prayed. So when they reported to the Prophet ﷺ, the Prophet asked him, "Why do you always recite Surah Al-Ikhlas?" He said, "It is because I really love this surah because of what it encompasses with regards to the description of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala." And the Prophet ﷺ said that حُبُّكَ إِيَّاهَا أَدْخَلَكَ الْجَنَّةِ, that your love for this chapter of the Quran has entered you into Jannah. So this is for us to know the weight of this chapter of the Quran. So now this chapter of the Quran starts by the Prophet ﷺ responding to the people who came to ask him that قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. Tell them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the Prophet, that قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. Tell them that Allah that they are asking about, He is one. He is one. And now this might sound like something that is kind of uh, too shallow somehow if we do not have deep knowledge about the meaning of this. So, for example, imagine you go to someone and you tell the person to introduce themselves, and then they say, I am one. You will ask them, one in what? Aha. So that is the question that we ask here. So when the Prophet ﷺ told them that, when Allah tells the Prophet that, tell them that He is one. One in what? That is the question. He is one in what? Aha. He is the meaning of ahad is someone who is one, single, who does not share something with another person. So what is that thing? With regards to what are we talking about when we say He is one? Aha. So this is with regards to three things. When we say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is one, the meaning of huwa Allahu ahad, it is with regards to three things. Allah is one with regards to three things. And whoever understands the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with regards to these three things, he will live a completely joyous and happy life. And he will be from the people who are successful on the day of Qiyamah. He will live a completely happy life in this world and in the next, by just understanding and believing in the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in these three things. So, and these same three things, believing in the oneness of Allah in these three things, is what the scholars refer to as Tawheed. It is what they refer to as Tawheed. So when you hear the scholars saying Tawheed, 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 it refers to this verse of the Quran, the single verse of the Quran that says, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. Tawheed means making something one. So Tawheed comes from this verse of قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. Tell them that Allah is one. One in what? One in these three things that we are about to mention. Now, we knew about the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that it is with regards to three things because of a verse in Surah Maryam where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, رب السماوات والأرض وما بينهما فاعبده واصطبر لعبادته هل تعلم له سميا. It says, this Allah that you are worshipping, He is رب السماوات والأرض وما بينهما. He is the Lord. That means the one who is in charge, taking care, taking control of the heavens and the earth and what is between them. That is the first oneness. He is the one in charge of the heavens and the earth and what is between them. Everything that happens on the earth and the heavens and what is between them. That is the first oneness. They call that Tawheed al-Rububiyyah. Believing in the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with regards to His Lordship, the fact that He is the one in charge of everything, the fact that He is the one who created everything, the fact that He is the only one who is in charge of sustaining and providing everything. That's the first one. And we are going to explain it in detail, inshallah. The second one goes on in the verse where He says, رَبُّ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَمَا بَيْنَهُمَا فَاعْبُدْهُ. That's the second part of Tawheed. It said, فَاعْبُدْهُ. So worship Him. That's Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah. That's the second part of قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. He is one in what? فَاعْبُدْهُ. In worship. He is the only one that you should worship. That's the second definition of the Ahad in Surah Al-Ikhlas. So remember, he's only one with regards to His Rububiyyah, His Lordship. He's only one with regards to deserving worship. And then third, He said, هَلْ تَعْلَمُ لَهُ سَمِيًّا. Do you know any other person that bears the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or has the sifat, the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Do you know anyone who is as merciful as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Do you know anyone whose punishment is as severe as the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? That's the third part of the Tawheed. Tawheed al-Asma'i was-Sifat. Believing in the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with regards to his asma, his names, and sifat, his attributes. That there is no one whose attributes are similar or are on the same level with the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because it said in the verse, هَلْ تَعْلَمُ لَهُ سَمِيًّا? Do you know anyone who has the same attributes of Allah? So those three Tawheed, the three things are explained in that single verse. So that would be the tafsir of قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. So Allah says to the Prophet ﷺ, tell them that هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. This Allah that I worship, he is one. One with regards to what? With regards to his lordship, as Allah said, رَبُّ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَمَا بَيْنَهُمَا. And then with regards to his worship, as he said, فَاعْبُدْهُ. And with regards to his sifat, his names and attributes, as he said, هَلْ تَعْلَمُ لَهُ سَمِيًّا? Do you know anyone with a similar attributes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Now, we are going to talk about each of those, the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with regards to each of those things. The first one is with regards to ar-rububiyyah, the fact that he is one in his lordship and in his in directing the affairs of the universe and everything that is on it, and in directing the affairs of the people and the samawat and all of that. So that is Tawheed al-Rububiyyah. When the scholars talk about Tawheed al-Rububiyyah, we always think about it as something that everyone understands and everyone believes in. But the fact is that a lot of our actions point to the fact that we don't really know Allah with regards to Rububiyyah. Rububiyyah seems to be the easiest thing, to believe Allah is the creator, he is the one who is in charge of us, so he's the one who is in charge of the heavens and everything. Everyone claims to believe in this. Everyone claims to believe in this. But the reality is we do not understand Allah with regards to his Rububiyyah. So the meaning of Rububiyyah is to understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the Khaliq, the one who created us. Is the Raziq, is the one who provides for us. He's the one who is in charge of us. He's the one who is in charge of every single thing in our lives. And we do not have control over anything except what Allah has given us control over. This fact is a fact that you would see if you look at the actions and the ways of a lot of people. You would see that they do not really believe in this thing. They claim that they believe in it, but the fact is that we do not believe in this thing as deeply as we should. So, for example, the one who understands the rububiyyah of Allah, who understands the lordship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he would not dare Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in any way, and he will show complete faqr, complete neediness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The fact that he is not in charge of anything, and he does not have power over anything. And I'm going to tell some stories to emphasize the meaning of the rububiyyah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The first one is the story of a story in Surah Al-Kahf, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, and by the way, Surah Al-Kahf, wallahi, from the beginning to the end, it is filled with stories and with statements that are extremely deep and have very big meanings, especially if you read it, if you read the tafsir from Tafsir Sa'di, and we take time to ponder deeply about each of the verses of Surah Al-Kahf. Now, in Surah Al-Kahf, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَضْرِبْ لَهُمْ مَثَلَ رَجُلَيْنِ جَعَلْنَا لِأَحَدِهِمَا جَنَّتَيْنِ وَحَفَفْنَاهُمَا بِنَخْلٍ وَجَعَلْنَا بَيْنَهُمَا زَرْعًا. That give them the example of two people. This really happened. There were two people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave one of them two gardens. So one of them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him two gardens. And then the garden was filled with all kinds of fruits, and it produced maximum it yielded maximum harvest. So, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decorated this garden for him with palm trees in such a way it was not only fruitful, and it was not only giving him so much money, but it was extremely beautiful. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed a lot of us with different things. There are people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed with knowledge of maybe something, maybe they are very good with what they do, they are good in designing, they're good in this, they're good in coding and things like that, or they're good in their academics and stuff like that. Now, a lot of us, we claim to believe in rububiyyah, but with regards to what Allah has given us, we behave just like this person behaved. When Allah gave him those things, said, وَكَانَ لَهُ ثَمَرٌ فَقَالَ لِصَاحِبِهِ وَهُوَ يُحَاوِرُهُ أَنَا أَكْثَرُ مِنْكَ مَالًا وَأَعَزُّ نَفَرًا. So Allah gave him all of those things, and he looked at his colleague who had nothing, and he told him that أَنَا أَكْثَرُ مِنْكَ مَالًا وَأَعَزُّ نَفَرًا. I have more wealth than you. I have more servants. I have a very big garden. I have this, I have that. More than you. That is the first thing that we need to pay attention to. Does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is this just a part of the story? It has a meaning. The fact that Allah mentioned that he said to his colleague that Ana akfaru minka malan wa azzu nafara. It is showing that that statement is very wrong to make. Do you know why? Because it nullifies deep understanding of the rububiyyah of Allah. If you understood that this garden, even though you might have done this and done that and done this, it is by the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that it ended up to be so fruitful. It is by the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that it bears so good a harvest. It is by the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that it is so beautiful. And it doesn't take Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala anything to take it away from you and give it to the other person. Someone who understands the rububiyyah of Allah from this perspective will not have any reason to want to boast over other people that do not have what he has. So, kind of person who thinks, do you think I worked for this wealth? When I was there at night and I was reading, I was preparing. Where were you? And now I have a good grade, and you guys are saying things. All of these things. The one who understands the rububiyyah of Allah as he should would not be boasting in any way. This also, I don't want to because of the time, but there's a similar thing that the Prophet Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, he mentioned in Surah Baqarah when he said to the people of the Banu Israel, when they're asking that, أَتَتَّخِذُنَا هُزُوًا, are you making fun of us? And he said, قَالَ أَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ أَنْ أَكُونَ مِنَ الْجَاهِلِينَ. So we should go and look for the tafsir of Sa'di on that particular verse. Now, when this person said to his colleague that I have more wealth than you, I have this than you, that is already what? It is already showing his lack of complete understanding in the rububiyyah of Allah. Said وَدَخَلَ جَنَّتَهُ وَهُوَ ظَالِمٌ لِنَفْسِهِ قَالَ مَا أَظُنُّ أَن تَبِيدَ هَذِهِ أَبَدًا. So he entered his garden and he said, oh my God, this is so beautiful. مَا أَظُنُّ أَن تَبِيدَ هَذِهِ أَبَدًا. I don't think this one will ever end. And then he continued and said, وَمَا أَظُنُّ السَّاعَةَ قَائِمَةً وَلَئِن رُدِدتُّ إِلَىٰ رَبِّي لَأَجِدَنَّ خَيْرًا مِنْهَا مُنقَلَبًا. And I don't think as well that there is anything like an end time. So let me just continue enjoying and forget about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who gave me this garden. And then قال له صاحبه وهو يحاوره أكفرت بالذي خلقك من تراب. Then his colleague said to him, أكفرت بالذي خلقك. You are saying all of these things as if it is by your own power. Have you forgotten about the one who created you while you didn't exist? He created you from sand, from dust. ثم من نطفة ثم سواك رجلا. Then he made you into a drop of semen and into this and into that. And then he was the one who took care of you until you became an adult, and you became into a man who could take care of this garden. So do you forget about him? Said, لكنه الله ربي. Said, as for me, هو الله ربي. He is my Rabb. He is the one that I believe. He is in charge of everything. He is the one who gives me everything that I have. I don't ascribe anything to myself. Said, لكنه الله ربي ولا أشرك بربي أحدا. And I do not join anyone as partners with my own Lord. And then said, فَعَسَى رَبِّي أَن يُؤْتِيَنِ خَيْرًا مِنْ دَلَّتِكَ وَيُرْسِلَ عَلَيْهَا حُسْبَانًا. Then this person started telling him that it is possible that Allah would show his rububiyyah by destroying this here garden that you are so pleased with. And then he will turn it into mere ground and all of that. And then he woke up the next day and he found out that as the person said exactly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had destroyed his garden and there was nothing of it left. Allah said, فَأَصْبَحَ يُقَلِّبُ كَفَّيْهِ عَلَى مَا أَنْفَقَ فِيهَا وَهِيَ خَاوِيَةٌ عَلَى عُرُوشِهَا. So he got to the garden the next day and he found out it had been entirely destroyed. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is showing his rububiyyah. I am completely in charge of everything. And so he was regretting everything that he had spent on that garden. He was thinking before that it was his smartness that made him that way. But Allah showed him that it is not his smartness in any way. And then Allah destroyed everything within a night. Allah said, وَلَمْ تَكُنْ لَهُ فِئَةٌ يَنْصُرُونَهُ مِنْ دُونِ اللَّهِ وَمَا كَانَ مُنْتَصِرًا. And there was no one who could help him when the matter of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when the command of Allah came. وَمَا كَانَ مُنْتَصِرًا. And he could not defend or save himself. Said, هُنَالِكَ الْوَلَايَةُ لِلَّهِ الْحَقِّ. At this point, in this kind of situation, al-walayatu, power, authority, help only comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَخَيْرٌ ثَوَابًا وَخَيْرٌ عُقْبًا. Now that is a story that points to the rububiyyah of Allah and how a lot of us actually wonder in not understanding the rububiyyah of Allah as we should. Now, we might think that such a thing is just from the stories of the past and not something that can happen again. But we see practicals of it happening every day. I was reading a story on one news channel, I think Al Jazeera or something, a couple of weeks ago, about a man in Turkey who was, when I converted his worth to naira, it was something, I think he was worth over 70 million naira. He was worth over 70 million naira. At the time that he was being interviewed, he had no house, he had no home. He was sleeping in a refugee camp. And do you know what? His wealth did not disappear within a year. It did not disappear within a month. It did not disappear within a week. It did not disappear within a day. It did not even disappear within an hour. It disappeared within about 5 minutes. Within about 5 minutes during the earthquake. The house that he had built, the companies that he had, everything was in the same district, and he lost every single thing that he had. And that night, in the morning, he woke up a millionaire. In the night, he was sleeping in a refugee camp. That is from what? From the rububiyyah of Allah. So the one who understands the rububiyyah of Allah, he doesn't see himself like he possesses anything. Doesn't see himself like he owns anything or that he has power over anything. And he doesn't see any reason to boast over others. When he understands that it doesn't take Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala anything to destroy it of this thing. So that is the first thing that we need to know about Allah, the rububiyyah of Allah. The fact that all of these things we see, none of them is actually in our control. None of them is actually by our minds. All of the things that we see are by the barakah of Allah, by the control of Allah, by the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah gave us several examples of this in the Quran. There is a verse where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam that إِنَّكَ لَا تَهْدِي مَنْ أَحْبَبْتَ. You cannot guide whoever you love. Yes, the Prophet was good in guiding people. He had good command of the language. He was this, he was that. But Allah showed him that you cannot guide anyone except by the power of Allah, by not making one of the people he loved the most, Abu Talib, to accept Islam. So when Abu Talib died, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told the Prophet that إِنَّكَ لَا تَهْدِي مَنْ أَحْبَبْتَ. You cannot guide whoever you love. So we understand that the guidance, provision, wealth, all of these things come from Allah. That is Tawheed Rububiyyah. That is the meaning of قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. Tell them that Allah is one with His Rububiyyah. No one. He is not sharing it with anyone. So the one who understands this, there will be certain ways in which he deals with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So one final story with regard to this rububiyyah is the story of Sa'd bin Abi Waqqas. Is the story of Sa'd bin Abi Waqqas. So it tells us, I'm particularly going to talk about this because it mentions a very necessary point of rububiyyah, and that is the fact that our minds are in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we have no control even over our minds except what Allah has given to us. So Sa'd bin Abi Waqqas, he had a mother who was a non-believer, and this mother kept threatening Sa'd that if you do not turn back to my ways, if you do not leave Islam, I'm going to starve myself, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll do this, I'll do that. And then she started starving herself, truly, and she didn't eat for days. And Sa'd bin Abi Waqqas, when he heard of this, he went to the mother and he said, "Oh mother, if you had 100 lives, and those lives started coming out one after the other, and it got to the 99th one, and I see that you have only one life left until you die entirely, I will not leave this Islam. Sa'ad bin Abi Waqqas understood something, that the heart of the mother was in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If he did anything, if he displeased Allah by pleasing that mother, it doesn't take Allah anything. He will turn that mother against him. He will displease Allah because of the mother, and still that love of the mother that he wanted to attain, he will still not attain it. At the end of the day, what did Allah do? After Sa'd stood his ground, Allah made that mother accept Islam, and then she joined Sa'd bin Abi Waqqas in what she in on Islam. So we must understand this as part of the rububiyyah of Allah, that the hearts of the people are in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We do not do things because we want their pleasure. If you do anything because you want the pleasure of people, it doesn't take Allah anything. You will displease Allah. At the end of the day, those people will still not be pleased with you. They will still not be pleased. In fact, it is the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that when you displease him by pleasing any other person, Allah will make you and that person end up in a situation where you will hate each other. And wallahi, we have seen testimonies of this in different relationships and different illicit legal relationships that are haram. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to save us from that. Now, that is the first part, the rububiyyah of Allah. That is the first part of Qul huwallahu ahad, the rububiyyah of Allah. The second part of huwallahu ahad, he is one, is what? With regards to his uluhiyyah, deserving worship. You know, when you understand the rububiyyah of Allah, that it means all of these things that I think I have, this intelligence, it doesn't take Allah anything. I'll just wake up one day and I'll be an imbecile. It doesn't take Allah anything, wallahi. Stephen Hawking was one of the people who was one of the most respected scientists. He died while he couldn't speak. He couldn't move his head. He couldn't move his hand. So it is part of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showing him that if I decide to afflict you with something, there is nothing you can do about it. Everything they want to do in life, the success that they crave, they understand that they understand that their how do we say it? Their marriages, their success, their happiness, their wealth, their poverty, the future of their children, all of these things lie in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The one who understands this, he would look for every way. But how can I be in the good books of this being that is in charge of everything? The way many people also, when they see that someone is rich or is in control of things, they want to get close to the powerful people, so that they would be in their good books. So if anything happens, they would have their support. And we see a lot of Nigerians. So it's not like they want to stay in the UK or anything or in the US, but they go there, they take their citizenship, they come back to Nigeria. Why? Because they believe those places are safer. So they want to be in their good books, that anytime anything happens, we can go there for support and for protection. The one who understands the ubudiyyah of Allah, that Allah is in charge of everything. He's in charge of my wealth, he's in charge of my intelligence, my everything, the future of my children, my future, my happiness in marriage, all of these things, would want to be in the good books of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that takes us to the second part of the tawheed of understanding that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is one, and that is with regards to what? With regards to his uluhiyyah, worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah explained to us, after we have understood the rububiyyah of Allah, that there is nothing except it's by his power and his might. And he explains to us that now, if you want to be in my good books, if you want to be among those that all of that power that I have, all of that control that I have, that I use it in a way that is going to be favorable for them, then do what? Then fa'budhu, worship him. Rabbus samawati wal ardi wa ma baynahuma fa'budhu. I think it's actually Rabbi samawati wal ardi wa ma baynahuma fa'budhu. Okay, so now, okay, the first part is when you understand his rububiyyah, fa'budhu, so worship him. Ensure that it is him you worship. It is him you ask for help. It doesn't make sense that the one who created you, who fashioned you, who provided for you, who gave you all of these things, then you need something and then you do not turn to him, you turn to someone else. It doesn't make sense. It said fa'budhu, worship him. So when you worship him, he will love you. He will bring you closer to himself. And he will use his power and support in your favor. Let's look at this hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "Man aada li waliyan faqad aadhantuhu bil harb." Said, whoever takes one of my close allies, the people that I love, as an enemy, all of that power that we have explained in Rububiyyah, I will use it to what? I will take that. I have started a war with that person. I have started a war with that person. It shows you how God, how much of how do I put this? How much of a guardian Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. How jealously He guards those that He takes as His allies and as His friends. Because of what? Because of their ibadah to Allah. So when you understand the rububiyyah of Allah and you want to be under this support, under this closeness, under this power of Allah, you do what? You do tawheed al-uluhiyyah. You ensure that all of your worship goes only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it means you do not rely upon any other person except Allah. You do not call upon any other person except Allah. You do not believe that there is someone in your village that can do something. You do not believe that your co-wife is the one that is doing something to you, and that is why you are not progressing. All of these things is nullifying ibadah of Allah. So that is why we have in Surah Al-Fatiha, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. It is you we worship, and it is you we ask for help. Now, the Prophet ﷺ gave us an example of the one who does not do Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah, who worships other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and why it is such a grave sin to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He said, Yahya ibn Zakaria, the Prophet Yahya, who was actually a cousin to Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, said it happened that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him an order to relay 5 commandments to the people of Israel. So Musa came to him and said, Ya Yahya, Allah has commanded you to say 5 things to the people of Israel. Said, it is either you go there to tell them, or I will go there to tell them. So Yahya said, I fear that if you go there to tell them before me, while I am the one that Allah has commanded to do that thing, that I fear that Allah will seize me with a punishment that He has never punished anyone with it. And there's a lesson for us in this. There is a lesson for us in this. When you know something of the deen, fear, and you do not spread it to the people, you do not teach the people, you do not correct the people, you should fear that Allah will replace you with some people. And then when He replaces you with those people, Allah will punish you in a way that He might never have punished anyone before you. So Yahya went to the people and he told them those 5 things. He said, He said, I want to order you to do 5 things that Allah has ordered me to tell you. He said the first one is that that you should worship Allah and you should not join any partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Said, وَإِنَّ مَثَلَ مَنْ أَشْرَكَ بِاللَّهِ. Said, and the example of the one who joins a partner with Allah, كَمَثَلِ رَجُلٍ اشْتَرَى عَبْدًا مِنْ خَالِصِ مَالِهِ مِنْ ذَهَبٍ بِذَهَبٍ أَوْ وَرَقٍ. Said, it is the example of a man that buys a servant with his pure money. So now he buys the servant, and then he tells the servant, he is good to the servant, he provides for the servant, he does things to him that is pleasing to him. And then he now tells the servant that he bought with his money. He said, Hada Daddy, this is my farm, this is my place. I want you to work on my farm, and when you finish working on my farm, all of the harvest, bring it to me. To this person who was bought by the money of the master, who is working on the field of the master, who is using he's eating from the food of the master. He now goes to the farm, he works. When he gets the produce of the farm, he takes it to someone else and gives it to that person. So that is the example of the one who does shirk to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who worships other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So how is it possible that you would worship other than Allah while He is the one who created you? He provides for you on His earth that He created. And then you think the next thing is to start fearing other people other than Allah, to start pleasing them while displeasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Shaykh Ibn al-Qayyim, when he was making a commentary on this hadith, he said, when he was making a commentary on this particular hadith, he said, how is this possible? He said the examples are even still a bit far from each other, because this master, he truly bought the servant with his money, but he's not the one who created the servant. Then how much more Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who created you alone, it is with His mercy that you are able to walk, you're able to see, you're able to breathe, and it is with His mercy that you're able to do all of those things that you do. How is it? Does it make any sense that you now turn to other than Him and you love other than Him more than Him? While He tells you that if you come close to me to a point where I love you, my own kind of love is not the love of I'm busy. It's the love that anyone who takes you as an enemy. I have taken him as I have started a war with such a person. Now, after all of this, you now find it possible, you find it easy to trust other than Allah more than Allah, to be pleased with other, to displease Allah in order to please other than Allah. He says this does not make any sense, and that is why shirk, worshipping other than Allah, is the biggest sin that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would never forgive. I've only mentioned 2 points of Qul Huwallahu Ahad, and there's still some other points. So, but I think I remember that our plan was to make the lecture be just for 40 minutes. So I think I would want to pause at this point, even though I don't think I've actually got into like half of. Okay, I think I've gotten to like half actually. So, but not to the end. So I would stop here, inshallah, and probably maybe if we have another opportunity to continue with this, we might finish it. But at least, alhamdulillah, we have been able to talk about the tawheed of Allah with regards to His rububiyyah, with regards to Him being the one in control and in charge of everything. And I just want to make a point here. If you are someone who maybe struggles with some sickness, let's say asthma, for example, you will understand the rububiyyah of Allah. You'll understand that even this breath that you breathe every day, and it seems like a natural thing, if Allah seizes you by this breath, and you find it hard to be able to take a breath, Allah, He would understand the rububiyyah of Allah as it is, that there is nothing that you are capable of doing. If Allah seizes you with sleep, I know people who struggle with insomnia, and they are not able to sleep easily. If Allah seizes you with it, the sleep that you are able to sleep easily, just get on the bed and you close your eyes. If Allah seizes you with that alone, so Allah has different ways of punishing people and season them, and all of these things should make us understand the rububiyyah of Allah. And then we have also talked about the uluhiyyah of Allah, the necessity of being rushing towards the worship of Allah and following His commandments, as this is supposed to be a direct result of our understanding of the rububiyyah. When you understand how powerful He is, how He's in control of everything, you should be eager to want to get close to Him, to want to please Him, to want to be in His good books. Especially when you understand that not only is He powerful, but He is extremely merciful to those who worship Him and those who get closer to Him, the way He has legislated. And this month that we currently are, the month of Ramadan, is one of the most important times that we can use to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, such that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a curse has even been laid on the one who fails to use this opportunity of Ramadan to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is as powerful as He is, and who is in control of everything as He is. And if we decide to use this time to do other things that are displeasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it shows our deficiency in our understanding of who Allah is and our understanding of His being one in everything, that in His rububiyyah and uluhiyyah. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to benefit us with this and to grant us ikhlas in everything that we do. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa ashabihi وسلم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.